The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Thanks to all the people who enjoyed the very comic shop nerd discussion about Wolverine's metal skeleton and everything. It did spawn more questions that I'm just not going to get into, like, is he circumcised? Does it grow back? You know, various questions about foreskin. That's awesome. Glad that we're wanting to go into there. Anyway, I do miss those. The nice part about a comic shop, and it was never one particular topic, but it was the idea that you could just have absurd conversations about anything and debate it for hours, and just, it was, that to me is more the magic of comics than a lot of the things people credit with it. It's one of the reasons why, from my own perspective, I think that, when I see, not necessarily creators, but people like the louder voices, let's say, in comics, they really want to shut down debate. They really want to say, we don't want to have these conversations unless they follow a very specific track in comics. And it's like, that's the opposite. That's the antithesis of a comic shop, where, you might be debating, this artist is better than that artist one day, or, who would win between Superman and Hulk, or, just various, what could Wolverine grow back from? These are the fun kind of debates, and they often, the logic was absurd. That was kind of some of the fun of it. And so I find a lot of that kind of disheartening, and I guess it's anything. I've noticed several of you pointed me to the stream where, it's a crowdfunding comic, and a guy there basically shutting down any conversation that the people were tossing at him, to the point that it became trolling, because of course it always do. But it feels like there's this inherent thing in comics that whenever somebody gets successful or popular, it doesn't matter if it's for the big two, on their own, indie, whatever it happens to be, it quickly turns to, I am in charge, and we will not talk about things. I don't know. I hate that feeling. And I think it needs to be simpler than that. You need to just be able to go and talk about whatever crazy ass thing you want to talk about. Again, not threats, and not all that. By the way, this was scary. Is somebody pointed me to a video that Zach had done, and he makes one point that I think is that he made a sentence that I think is really, really good and deserves to be repeated, no matter who you are, no matter what you agree with. And it's basically, hey, when in the comments of things, when people come in there and say things like, I'm going to murder this guy, and there has been an increase in that lately, a significant increase. It's not just, again, it's not just, I am angry at comics and I want to be. Okay, fine. It's, I am angry at comics and I'd like to kill some of the people involved in them. There has been a significant increase in that. And the thing is, you say that crazy shit, and who pays the price? Me, or him, or whoever the YouTuber is. It's not you get to say the crazy stuff you want. Maybe you get your comment removed. Thankfully, YouTube gets some of those. That's one of those. I still don't understand why they will let through comments like, this artist should be drugged behind a car. That will be posted, but somebody goes, I don't like that Bud Light ad. Block. I do not get what YouTube is doing there, but anyway, very, very strange AI that's clearly pocketing these comments. Anyway, please understand, when you post super crazy shit, it's the channel that gets it. It's me. Shouldn't be. I'm not responsible for what you say, but that's not how it works. So, just keep that in mind. Hey, look, we get to a different question, which is sort of a comic shop question, but it's does manga have any weaknesses? Now, I'm reading this. I'd recorded a video like a month ago, I don't know, a long time ago, and I don't think it's aired yet, but it specifically talks about, some of the companies that are not working out well, and ways it's not going. But let's read this mail. It's a short one. It says, "Hey, Perch, I've been watching your videos on manga and how it is dominating the comic industry. We always hear the pros about manga. My question is, does manga have any weaknesses a competitor could exploit?" Well, and the answer is, sure. I think manga as a genre has one big obstacle that it has to get over, which is it is coming from another region. There are cultural aspects to manga that are unique to itself that don't translate necessarily well to the US. And so it's an extra hurdle. It's one of those things where, when manga is successful, you almost have to give it a little bit of extra credit because, it's not easy to penetrate a overseas market and be successful. It's just that's not a trivial task. And particularly if big parts of your manga include kind of, hell, the slice of life manga that is successful in the US is always kind of the most amazing of it all because inherent slice of life are, ways people eat, ways people sleep, family situations, like a lot of, daily life aspects of Japan, or, Korea or wherever the manga is, if it's, wherever it's coming from, manhwa, wherever that stuff is coming from, some of them only makes sense if you live there or you put a lot of effort in studying that. So it's actually it's a huge testament to the storytelling ability when you see somebody who's a manga that's managed to bridge that cultural gap. But that's an area. I mean, look, if you're in the US and you're a competitor to manga, or you're Marvel or DC, I think you can lean into the aspects about the culture that fit the market you're in. That's a big one. But one of other weaknesses, the translation that has to occur, the formatting of bringing the manga from Japan to the US, publishing and getting it over. There's a cost to that and a time cost to it. And so in a world of online and piracy and other things, that is a weakness that you could exploit by just being more crisp with that stuff. Now, crazily, what's happened is, the US system delayed further what was going on with manga in terms of digital. And so even though it's logistically just harder for manga to get the content, translate it, localize it, all that kind of stuff, bring it over, it still was faster than what the Western companies were doing, setting rules for themselves. They could have gone much faster. They could have exploited that weakness. They chose not to. Now that weakness is disappearing again because you got day and date translation, a lot of other things. So it's manga has plenty of weaknesses. It's just some of their most obvious ones nobody took advantage of, and they just basically handed manga time, companies time to figure out how to bridge it, and they did, which is sort of amazing if you think about it. But other weaknesses are still on the table. Look, one of the things that gets unspoken that people don't recognize is a lot of manga isn't successful. It's not like, and I think there's this myth that goes out there that, hey, every book, every content, every property that gets done is a wild hit and it sells really well. Most of them don't. The actual vast majority do not. I would say, at least from last conversations I had with a guy of his, 80% of the content dies. 10% of the content, I'm talking not through total volume, but just the different properties. 10% is lukewarm, and 5% does well, and 5% is a hit. It's kind of the vast majority is still not working. And if you think about it, if you're taking the time and the money to localize, bring something over, license, try and move it, try and get brand recognition, because none of this stuff has it other than the genre itself. It's like, yeah, you like manga, here's another manga, but you have to build all of that almost from the ground up, versus a Batman and a Spider-Man, where if you want to make if DC wants to make a new hero or a new character and they want to give it a leg up, they're like, this character lives in Gotham. It's like, oh shit, I know Gotham. Maybe Batman will guest star. Like, you've got all these built-in advantages. Now you could run to the well too often on that one, as we've all seen, but you've got all these built-in advantages, and in theory should mean you're moving quicker. Should mean that things are able to accelerate. But that's a big weakness. Honestly, it's a lot of cost, a lot of time, a lot of energy for a lot of content that never goes anywhere or never gets picked up. And so every time, and another kind of big weakness in manga is its format itself it's not built to be the everlasting brand that, Western comics are. And so why that's a weakness is if a new manga is starting up, it's got to build an audience, it's got to get that recognition, get the characters over, all the rest. And if it ends in 4 years, 6 years, or 2, whatever it happens to be, they've got to start all over again. They don't get to go, all right, well, now there's a new artist and writer in Spider-Man. And I know a lot of people have hated that aspect of Western comics where it's just rinse and repeat with new creators, but it's still, from a sales perspective, it's a huge, huge advantage. And manga, basically has to build up their own castle each and every time. So I think, what's important to recognize, and maybe you got to kind of drill into it a little bit more, is manga as a genre has strength right now, but that strength is carried by a small handful of properties. Now, it just turns out that small handful of properties are winning huge. They're selling huge amounts of content. But it's really no different than saying, Scholastic does well, Dogman does incredible. But there's plenty of graphic novels and stories and other things that Scholastic does that go nowhere, that really have no meaning or, no weight to them. And that's just, again, that's not terribly unusual, but it does mean that, if you say like manga is winning every turn, well, no, but, the properties have gotten over great, and that provides then draft. Now, here's the way I mentioned earlier that some of these weaknesses over time become, the companies work hard to eliminate those weaknesses. So one of the things that I'm noticing manga is doing more and more of is they're doing what they call bubble advertising. And that's, you get really popular manga, something like a Demon Slayer, for example, that's had some perennial kind of life to it, or My Hero Academia that's still going strong, or One Piece that's somehow defying all odds is getting stronger. Like, I was looking at some of the financial. One Piece is 15% stronger than last year in the US. So it's picking up steam, which is, for a product like that, those kinds of jumps are incredible. But anyway, they're starting to be very smart about saying, hey, these 3 series, they're totally very similar. And so we're going to start hard advertising them in the super popular stuff, which again, this isn't genius marketing. It's obvious. But basically what they're trying to do is remove the weakness of when a series ends, they have to start from scratch and building up an audience again. They're basically trying to get, a balloon of 5 or 6 different titles hyped and present and popular while they have a hit on their hands, with the hopes that gives them a little bit of an acceleration into the next thing. They're banking on the fact that, shared universes and stuff like that is less important than just recognition. And, I think that's going to work. And I mean, if you get the top 10 biggest manga titles, as an effective promotion vehicle for, 10 each, they're going to continue to hold the ground extremely well. So there you go. That's my answer. Again, plenty of weaknesses, but most of it just has to do with clean up your business, get stuff going quickly, and stop throwing obstacles in your own path. The digital obstacle, no, we need to change all our characters because we're just tired of the way some of them operate. Obstacle, we need to speak to a new audience, so let's just dump a bunch of. I mean, those are self-inflicted wounds. It's important that people get past it. Anyway, there you go, and thanks for listening.